Good evening and welcome to Up South this Friday evening. Our top story today is from one tip of India, Rameshwaram, where there was much joy, much celebration as the 5 Tamil fishermen who were released from a Sri Lankan prison finally came home, and there was a lot of celebration, a lot of jubilation after much awaited behind the scenes heavy duty diplomacy which was undertaken by the government of India. My colleague Srisha Reddy has been there for the last 24 hours and brings us this report from the fishing hamlets of Rameshwaram.
Celebrations in the sleepy fishing hamlet in Ramanathapuram. The kin of fishermen who faced death penalty in Sri Lanka rejoicing over their return. An agonizing wait and moments of extreme anxiety for the kin after the arrest in 2011, which turned into tears of joy.
ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கும். இருந்தாலும் உங்களுக்கு காலதாமதமாக விடுதலை கிடைச்சதுக்கு நன்றி சொல்லிக்கிறேன். நரேந்திர மோடி ஐயாவுக்கு அம்மா அவர்களுக்கு நன்றி தெரிவிச்சுக்கிறேன். It's unbelievable, really. First I thank to our Prime Minister Modi sir, then our mother of Tamil Nadu.
The Tamil Nadu government announced 3 lakh rupees each for the 5 fishermen, but the homecoming was marred by political parties jostling for credit over the diplomatic win.
This is the success of the central government. Only they could do that.
Everyone in their capacity tried their best to get released these fishermen from the captivity.
On their part, the families of fishermen thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Indian mission in Sri Lanka for working tirelessly for the release.
People are very happy to receive them actually, because it's not about a real matter. This is a fraud case, and
I would like to thank the central government as well as the state government for this their help for their help.
It was an ecstatic moment for the families of 5 fishermen who have been waiting to meet their loved ones after 3 long years. While the political parties that were present here take the whole credit for bringing all these fishermen back to their native, fishermen say it's not one particular party's victory, but victory of the entire fishing community. With camera person Daniel, Srisha Reddy in Rameshwaram for Headlines Today.
Let's now cut across live to Rameshwaram to my colleague Srisha Reddy. Srisha, all of India has been looking at the visuals and the voices that you have been getting there from ground zero in Rameshwaram. A lot of joy, a lot of relief in fact that they have come back after spending 3 years in the Sri Lankan prison. Would you say that is really the dominant mood out there?
Well, right, Sudhir, if I can ask my camera person to pan in and show you right now, there is a prayer meeting that's going on in a church in Tangachimadam where all the families and also people from the neighboring fishing hamlet have gathered here to join this prayer meet which have been organized by this church association, thanking all those people who played a big role in bringing all these 5 fishermen back to the country. And I have Agnel with me who has been there since the time when they arrived. Agnel, do you think, this is sort of a prayer meeting that's happening right now. So who do you think the victory will go to? A lot of parties, even in the afternoon meeting, every other party said the credit will go to them.
The credit will go to them. But what I think is the victories go to all the Tamilians who stood behind us for this protest and make them alive. They come here. We're happy.
Exactly. So it's a victory of fishermen because, Sudhir, if I can recap what happened in the afternoon when all these fishermen arrived here at the meeting where the prayer meeting is going on. There was a huge meeting that was organized for this fishing community people, but all the political parties, in fact people representatives from the parties, took credit that their party played a bigger role, taking due credit for bringing all these 5 fishermen back to the country. Back to you, Sudhir.
Right, Srisha, in fact we will wait for that prayer meeting at the church behind you to get over, and we'll come back to you for more voices because it's of course a big moment for all that fishing hamlets there in Rameshwaram. They have been fighting for this cause for the last 3 years, and that big day really arrived early this morning when they came by road from Chennai after actually flying from Colombo to New Delhi and then back to Chennai. Srisha, we'll come back to you in just a minute. Meanwhile, the Hyderabad police has cracked the sensational shootout case that took place outside the city's KBR Park early on Wednesday. Wednesday morning. The target, if you remember, was the vice chairman of Aurobindo Pharma, Nityananda Reddy, and the assailant, now the Hyderabad police says, is a police constable who worked with the Greyhounds till last year, and he had stolen an AK-47 and a loaded magazine in December 2013 with an intention to use it for extortion. He has been identified as P. Obuleshu of Kadapa district of Andhra Pradesh. He is 37 years old and a bachelor. He was tracked down to Kurnool district yesterday and arrested by the Hyderabad police.
ఇతను గ్రేహౌండ్స్ లో పనిచేస్తున్న టైంలో గ్రేహౌండ్స్ ఆర్మరీకి సంబంధించి బెల్లా ఫార్మ్స్ నుండి ఒక AK-47 రైఫిల్ అలాగే ఒక లోడెడ్ మ్యాగజైన్ ఎమ్యునిషన్ తో లోడ్ చేసినటువంటి మ్యాగజైన్ సెపరేట్ గా స్టాక్ చేసి పెడతారు. ఆ రెండింటిని కూడా బెల్లా ఫార్మ్స్ నుంచి దొంగిలించబడడం జరిగింది.
Commissioner of Hyderabad Police Mahendra Reddy explaining the modus operandi also of Obuleshu, who was the chief accused in this particular case of trying to abduct Nityananda Reddy for extortion. Let me cut across to my colleague Ratnika Sharma, who was there at that press conference. Ratnika, interesting that the Commissioner of Police Mahendra Reddy also spoke about the fact that since Obuleshu was in the Greyhounds, he knew the craft of hide and seek, and that made the job of actually nabbing him that much more difficult.
Definitely, Sudhir. In fact, as the Commissioner of Police did point out that it was difficult to nab Obuleshu, because remember, he used to work alone because he knew that it's very risky to actually share this kind of an information and have an accomplice with you. He used to travel alone. He used to take the stolen AK-47, conceal it in a bag and travel in a public bus all the way from Kurnool district to Hyderabad, wait around at KBR Park and wait for people who came out in luxury cars to actually point the gun at them and kidnap them basically for extortion of money. In fact, he also never disclosed the information that he had the AK-47 to anybody. He did not hide it in any other place apart from under the rocks at the very remote place near Kurnool district. So he was very, very careful in that regard, and the police did point out the fact that it was difficult to catch him, but despite that they could they finally track him down in Kurnool within 36 hours of the crime. Sudhir.
Right, Ratnika, the fact that they managed to actually crack this case within 2 days is commendable, but what would also be an embarrassment for the police force in general would be the fact that here is a case of a rogue policeman who also knows the inside of the system and how the investigation is done. So that actually helps him be one step ahead of the police team at all times. Is there a big lesson as far as the police force is concerned that they should keep track of the kind of mental makeup of the kind of people who they employ?
Yes, so the police commissioner did talk about that fact that they now have to do some kind of a psychological profiling of the constables and of all the policemen, in fact, in their department, give them better training, because remember, this is not the first time Obuleshu has done something like this. Previously, in February 2014, he had committed a similar kind of a crime where he did kidnap a well-known person, a rich person, in fact, for extortion of money right outside KBR Park. The modus operandi was almost similar, and at that time, because the police case was not registered, the police could not do anything about it, and Obuleshu actually took advantage of that fact and again repeated this crime, but of course this time, because of the scuffle and because of the fact that he had left behind the AK-47 and the backpack, the police could actually track him down. But definitely a lesson for the police, and they are saying that they will now better train their policemen to ensure something like this does not happen again. Back to you, Sudhir.
Absolutely, Ratnika Sharma. Thanks a lot for joining us on that big story from Hyderabad. News now from Kerala. In fact, we have been reporting about the Kiss of Love campaign that is being conducted in various cities of India and started in Kochi in Kerala a few weeks ago. Today, Malayalam superstar Mohan Lal has hit out at everyone who indulges in moral policing. In fact, in his handwritten blog, which is a very popular blog on his website, Mohan Lal writes that Kerala must be the only society that thinks that all that happens between a man and woman is sex, and adds that there can be innocent love, friendship, respect and platonic relationships as well. Mohan Lal says Keralites go overboard with moral policing and asks what was the need for a riot-like situation in Kochi. Joining me now is my colleague Rohini Swami. Rohini, pretty strong words there, and given the fact that Mohan Lal's blog has a lot of followers, what's the kind of an impact would this kind of a note, which runs into 7 pages, handwritten note, would it really have on people who admire Mohan Lal?
Absolutely, because Mohan Lal is not just a superstar, he also has his impact on a lot of people. The fact that he's speaking for the youngsters, the younger generation, and from the generation that he comes itself shows the kind of things that he's trying to portray. One is broad-mindedness among society, and more importantly, when we see campaigns like the Kiss of Love, it is not about showing love and affection in public spaces, but it's against moral policing, and that is what he's saying, that the fact that the campaign is about a certain issue, that people should be more broad-minded and look at it in a better way. Another point, that the fact that Mohan Lal has written this and in such detail itself is to make its impact, because he knows his impact will take place not just in the younger minds but also in the older minds.
Right, Rohini, also in the context of the Kiss of Love campaign that started with Kochi, went to Hyderabad, Chennai, and is now going to be held in Bengaluru on the 29th of November. Mohan Lal says, and I quote, that we have the right to kiss and not kiss as well. But you cannot say that someone cannot kiss in front of your eyes. If such a sight is making you uncomfortable, then one should just move away. That's the right thing to do. Will this be seen as a huge endorsement for the Kiss of Love campaign that is taking place in many cities and towns across the country?
Absolutely, it's almost like an endorsement to the fact of this campaign that is taking place at multi-levels in multi-cities. Also in Bangalore, it's still very undecided whether they will hold it, because now it's a group of people who have got together, because not only are they facing flack from fringe organizations, but they're also repeatedly getting phone calls and threats. But yes, the fact that Mohan Lal is making the statement is not just an endorsement, he's also trying to portray and reflect what he thinks is what the broad-minded society feels about it. But at the same time, he's also targeted the political parties and religious institutions, saying they have no right to make a choice and say what people should do.
Right.
If people want to do what they want to do, it's their individual choice.
Right, Rohini Swami, thanks a lot for joining us on that story. In fact, now we can go back to Srisha, who is joining us live from Rameshwaram. The church prayer meeting was going on when we talked to her last. Srisha, I'm curious to know what would be the immediate plans of these fishermen. Would they go first thing in the morning back to the sea to fishing, as though nothing has really changed in the last 3 years?
Well, Sudhir, one thing that what I can tell you is that I have been speaking to all these 5 fishermen since the time they came to their native. But one thing that what everybody is saying in common is that to venture into the sea itself is some sort of a nightmare for them. I also have Agnel with me. Agnel, for you, because you have been speaking to them, for you individually, is venturing into the sea is sort of a frightening thing or nightmare for you?
Yeah, absolutely. We're afraid of getting into the sea nowadays, because of that we lost almost 500 of fishermen in shooting, and also our properties like fishing boats, fishing nets, a lot of our properties. So central government and both country governments should take proper actions to resolve this issue.
Exactly. So he's mentioning that it's a long-standing issue that has to be resolved between the Indian and the Sri Lankan government, and that is one fear factor that they have developed over the years, and including this particular case where Rameshwaram saw a series of protests. And I also have Mr. Emret, who is the president of the Fishermen Association in Rameshwaram. He was also part of a lot of protests. So நீங்க நிறைய protestல involve ஆயிருக்கீங்க. இப்போ இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு கேஸ் போட்டு உள்ள இருந்ததனால உங்களுக்கு இந்த மாதிரி விஷயங்கள் நிறைய தொடர்ந்து நடந்துட்டு இருக்கு. யார் என்ன எப்பதான் முடிவு கிடைக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறீங்க இந்த மாதிரி விஷயத்துக்கு?
அதாவது மீன் பிடிக்க போறதே ஒரு பிரச்சனையா நாங்க வாழ்ந்துகிட்டு இருக்கோம். தொடர்ச்சியா இலங்கை கடற்படையில சிறைபிடிக்கப்படுறோம், இலங்கை கடற்படையால் தாக்கப்படுறோம், எங்கள் படகுகள் மூழ்கடிக்கப்படுது, எங்களுடைய உடைமைகள்லாம் சேதரப்படுது, அடிக்கடி படகுகளை பிடிச்சி வச்சுக்கிட்டு தரமாட்டுக்காங்க. இந்த சூழ்நிலையில் இந்த மீன் பிடிக்க விடாமல் தடுத்து நிறுத்துறதுக்காகவே இலங்கை அரசாங்கம் திட்டமிட்டு இவங்க மேலே ஒரு போதைப் பொருள் வழக்க போட்டாவது இவனை மீன் பிடிக்க விடாமல் தடுத்து நிறுத்தணும்னு சொல்ற ஒரு நோக்கத்தோடு போட்டப்பட்ட பொய் வழக்கு. இதில் 3 வருஷமா அந்த நிரபராதி மீனம் பாதிக்கப்பட்டு இன்னைக்கு மத்திய மாநில அரசாங்கம் விடுதலை பண்ணி கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. நிரந்தர தீர்வுக்கு மத்திய மாநில அரசாங்கம் நடவடிக்கை எடுக்கணும்.
So one thing that he is reiterating is that the false cases have been foisted and there is no permanent solution that is there between India and Sri Lanka as far as the Sri Lankan fishermen issue is concerned, and how the government have been neglecting this particular issue, though they have helped to bring out all the 5 fishermen back to the native. And I'm also joined by John Brito, who is the father of Langlet. Remember, Langlet is the youngest fisherman in the 5 fishermen group. He completed his 10th standard, and when he ventured into the sea, he was only 21. He was the youngest among all of them. Sir, unga paiyan finally திரும்பி வந்துட்டாங்க இன்னைக்கு. ப்ளஸ் அவங்க உங்ககிட்ட முதல் வாட்டி பேசும்போது உங்களுக்கு என்ன மாதிரி ஒரு நிறைய விஷயம் மாறி இருக்கும் உங்களுக்குள்ள 3 வருஷம் பார்க்கல உங்க பையனை?
ரொம்ப ஹாப்பியா இருந்தேன். எங்களுக்கு என்ன பேசணுமே எங்களுக்கு ஒண்ணுமே புரியல. அவன் முதல்ல நாங்க பார்க்க போகணும்னு சொன்ன உடனே அவனை நேராக பார்த்து நாங்கள் நேற்று திருச்சி போயிருந்தோம் பிள்ளைய நேராக பார்க்கணும்னு சொல்லி. ஆனால் நேராக போய் பார்க்க முடியல, அவங்க டெல்லி கொண்டு போயிட்டாங்க. ஆனால் இந்த ஊரில் வந்து பார்க்கும்போது ஆனால் நாங்கள் முதல்ல பார்க்கல, எங்கள் சமுதாயத்து மக்கள் தான் முதல்ல அவங்கள பார்த்தாங்க. அதே எங்களுக்கு ஒரு முரட்டு திருவிழா தான். அவங்க பார்த்தது நாங்கள் பார்த்தது சந்தோஷம். இதே வந்து எங்கள் தீவு மக்கள் அனைவருக்கும் நாங்கள் ரொம்ப ஒரு கடமைப்பட்டிருக்கோம். இந்த அனைத்து தமிழ்நாட்டு மக்களுக்கும், தமிழ்நாட்டு மக்கள் என்ன இந்த இந்தியா முழுவதும் தமிழர்கள் எங்கெங்கே இருக்காங்களோ அங்கே பூரா வந்து எங்களுக்கு வந்து நன்றி கடமைப்பட்டிருக்கோம். ரொம்ப ஹாப்பியாக இருக்கும் எங்களுக்கு ஒரு கிறிஸ்மஸ்.
Right. So he's saying that today is the Christmas for all the community people here, because yesterday, remember, first there were information that came out that all these fishermen will land in Trichy. So all the fishermen families were waiting in Trichy from 6 a.m. in the morning, and after the news broke out that they're going to Delhi directly and not coming to Trichy, then they were disappointed. They came back to the fishing hamlet, and today there was a grand gala celebration from the Palm Bridge to the fishing hamlet. There was a procession where about 200 two-wheelers were following them, and they were distributing sweets, and it was more of a festival. In fact, people were telling, and in fact those fishermen themselves telling that it's a festival day and they will remember this day for years to come. Sudeep?
Right, Srishat Reddy, thanks a lot for bringing us that very exhaustive ground report from Rameshwaram. As you said, it's a big day which we are not likely to forget in a hurry. Thanks a lot for joining us there with all your guests from Rameshwaram. News now from Hyderabad, where Chandrashekar, the Chief Minister of Telangana, is dreaming big, quite literally, and in fact he plans to have skyscrapers dotting the skyline of Hyderabad all around Hussain Sagar Lake. But the Greens are seeing red at this proposal. Ratnika Sharma has the story.
The skyline around the Hussain Sagar Lake in Hyderabad will change quite dramatically if Chandrashekar Rao has his way. The Telangana Chief Minister wants a ring of skyscrapers of 60 to 100 floors to be built around the artificial lake that is older than the iconic Charminar by 29 years.
I think there are merits in it, and of course some people point out demerits, and many cities in advanced countries, the downtown area has what is called as a business district, and it is being considered, and it's too early to say without studying the pros and cons.
The dream merchant that he is, KCR wants to convert the old city area of Hyderabad into Istanbul and this area around the lake into Kuala Lumpur. But his critics aren't too excited by KCR's version of Hyderabad tourism.
Environmentalists point to the Supreme Court order that had halted any construction activity around the lake.
The kind of unplanned development planned by the previous governments was resisted by us, questioned by us. We went up to Supreme Court, and the experts in the country has given the findings that how this should be managed, how it should not be allowed certain things, how it should be managed, they have guided.
TDP's Chandrababu Naidu, who himself is thinking of a riverfront capital city in Andhra Pradesh, is however critical of KCR's venture in Hyderabad.
This is a joke. This is the millennium joke. There is no such permissions that tank band area that is freezed by the Supreme Court. There is no such RCC construction. There is no such permission for construction of RCC buildings at all. So how can you build a 100 floors building? How it is possible?
The Hussain Sagar Lake is already heavily polluted due to inflow of chemicals and other forms of garbage. While making tall claims, KCR will need to ensure adding to the population by housing government offices around the lake does not kill it. With Ratnika Sharma in Hyderabad, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Now, the Civil Aviation Ministry has renamed the domestic terminal at Hyderabad's International Airport after the late N.T. Rama Rao. And this has sparked off a controversy with many members of the TRS, the Congress and even the BJP not very happy with the move. In fact, when the airport was at the old Begumpet Airport, the domestic terminal was called NTR Domestic Terminal. But with no such distinction made in the new airport, NTR's name was dropped by YS Rajshekar Reddy, much to the displeasure of the Telugu Desam. In 2008, YSR named it after Rajiv Gandhi, and the TDP has always made it an issue. And now that Ashok Gajpati Raju is the new Civil Aviation Minister, they have managed to rename the domestic terminal at the Hyderabad Airport after N.T. Rama Rao.
And we are demanding that if N.T. Rama Rao belongs to some other state, what about Rajiv Gandhi? He belongs to which state? N.T. Rama Rao was Andhra Pradesh, United Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister. He was Chief Minister and he was one of the popular Chief Minister of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So it doesn't arise in the name change.
That is not relevant today. The states have split. There is a different Andhra Pradesh. They can use his name, NTR's name over there. But we have all respect for N.T. Rama Rao. But there is no need of bringing his name into our domestic terminal here.
So a huge controversy over the renaming of the domestic terminal at the Hyderabad airport. That's it then on Up South this Friday evening.